afternoon. This is the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 in Accra, on Love 99.5 in Kumasi, and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Radio Justice Tamale, Radio Kpando, Fafa Radio Joje, and Jata FM Karaga. We are live on X Spaces, Facebook live stream, and My Joy Online interactive app. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience, and Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. Coming up. Showdown as the NDC and its minority in parliament defy police warning not to protest at the Bank of Ghana headquarters. They insist they will march there, setting the stage for confrontation. We are live at the protest where some ordinary Ghanaians, including a member of the clergy, are backing the demands of the NDC minority.
And Bible said if the righteous rule, the people rejoice. But if a wicked person is leading, the people suffered. So Nanado is you want to tell us that the scripture is fulfilling himself? Why are wicked? The Bible is about politics. From henceforth, every demonstration about Ghana, I will come.
We've got details, and we'll also take you live to Ashaman, where residents have blocked some major roads in the municipality, protesting their bad nature.
So how can you tell us that yes, the stronghold of the NDC, so you can't fix our roads? Ashama deserves
it's very bad.
We pay taxes. We didn't
want this
if
we are paying.
Anything Ashama here, then what can come?
Can come.
Also on the Midday News is the independent presidential ambition of Alan Tremantin at risk of being blocked.
The party has taken a decision that if you want to be part of this, if you use the resources of the party to market yourself, and at the last moment you decide that you walk away, the party has every right to restrain you, and nobody should take it for granted.
Minister of State at the Local Government Ministry highlights NPP presidential aspirant's July agreement as a strong challenge to Alan Tremantin's presidential ambition, but there's a response.
A lawyer, you should be a lawyer. Okay. Once I'm wasting my time in discussing with crowd.
Many are disappointed in the party because of such mischief. He is a lawyer, and I am also one. He should let us meet in court.
Also, flag bearer hopeful Dr. Owusu Akoto-Efriye says the NPP is in danger of losing the 2024 elections.
Morale is very, very low. The expectation of our activists around the country for a better life has not been realized. So the NPP is not in a good place to contest to retain power next year.
And for the second in our series, Dialysis Crisis, we tell you the story of some young Ghanaians with kidney failure who are crying for help, demanding for affordable dialysis.
We are pleading with government to help us with the dialysis. We cannot pay because of that. We are not able to go for dialysis.
And in sports,
we'll bring you up to speed with the level of work at the Borteman Sports Complex with 5 months remaining to the Africa Games. And later, will Presec Legon make it their 8th trophy, or will have another school clinch the bragging rights as the quest to find the next champion of the NSMQ begins today?
We are going for Presec. It's Presec Legon that we want. Presec and Prem. If not Prem and Presec, we don't see any school again.
We are going to meet maybe.
We are live at the KNUST campus where some schools have started arriving ahead of the preliminary stage of the competition. Stay with us for details. Thanks for choosing us. This is Joy News, independent, fearless and credible. I'm Bernice, Abu-Baidoo, Lansah. The details now. Well, this afternoon, a fierce showdown is expected between the minority in Parliament and the Ghana Police Service as the NDC MPs insist they will head to the Bank of Ghana headquarters to present a petition to the governor. This is despite the police vowing to prevent any protester, including the leadership, from accessing the central bank's head offices. Hundreds of Ghanaians have poured onto the streets of Accra to demand the resignation of the BOG governor and his deputies over the historic losses recorded in 2022. Listen to Minority Leader Dr. Casey Alatuforsen outlining the goal of the protest.
We think that this particular governor should not be allowed to stay in office. He's a printer, and we all know what printing does. Printing of money is like an alcoholism. The perceived good effect comes immediate, and the hangover comes after the party. This Akufo-Addo government, together with the governor, hasn't been fair to the people of Ghana. In fact, Governor Addison printed for President Akufo-Addo for them to live a champagne lifestyle on an appetition budget. We can't continue this way.
Well, despite the police vowing not to allow any protester go within the precincts of the BOG, Minority Leader Dr. Alatuforsen says he will lead a group of MPs to present a petition to the central bank governor. He also insists they want the governor to receive the petition personally, and if that does not happen, they will not leave the premises.
Our position is simple. The Ghana Police Service must show us where the security zone ends, the so-called security zones. We'll comply with that. We'll get to the end of the security zone with the protesters. And at that point, I, together with the leadership of the NDC minority in Parliament, must be allowed to walk to the central bank to present petition that should be received by the governor himself. He must be the one to receive our petition, and won't just hand over to him. We'll read it to his hearing and would demand his exit today. If he fails to exit, there will be series of actions against him.
Well, we've also been hearing from the national chairman of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia. He's declared the Bank of Ghana headquarters a crime scene. He's been urging protesters to march there.
You declare a crime scene. In other words, it will allow a security zone to be a haven for criminals. We have the right to declare that security zone a crime scene, and we will go there and charge the criminals.
Let me take you live now to the protest. My colleague Maxwell Agbaba is there for us. Hello, Maxwell. So the protesters have moved from the Obra spot. Where are they now? And do you get an indication still that they will defy the police's orders?
Well, Bernice, it's a sea of people here on the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue Road, the stretch that leads to Central Business District. What is happening right now is that personnel of the Ghana Police Service have blocked and barricaded a section of the road that connects to the Central Business District down to the old Parliament House, to the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, and then connects to the BOG. Now the police is advising the protesters to use the Castle Road, not the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, which connects to the Central Business District. That seems to be the point of disagreement between the protesters and personnel of the Ghana Police Service. And in the last 5 minutes, we've seen near scuffle break out here at this intersection. But the police is still standing it and saying that they will not allow the protesters to use the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue Road, which connects to the Central Business District and then to the Bank of Ghana premises. They say they should use the Castle Road, but the protesters are also saying that that is a long route and they don't want to use it. So right now, all of them are converging at a point where the road has been barricaded right at the intersection of the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, waiting for the leadership. In fact, like I mentioned earlier, it's a sea of people. It's a splinter group. Some people dancing, some people singing protest song, a revolution song. So at this point, they're all waiting for the leadership to get closer to the point where the road has been barricaded. The minority leader estimates the number of people who have poured onto the streets here today to be 50,000. And he says that has exceeded their expectation. As you can hear, one of the protesters saying that it's more than 50,000, but 100,000 Bernice.
Right, Maxwell, we'll leave it here for now. That's Maxwell Agbagba giving us a quick update on what's happening. But a former Deputy Communications Minister, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, has been promising a showdown, Maxwell. What exactly did he say to you? Well, that's just that some ambience we're hearing on that protest. But let's hear from the former Deputy Communications Minister, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye.
We are aware that it is the president and his sidekick, Alhaji Bawumia, who are behind the collapse of the Ghanaian economy. We are fully aware of that. But the governor is symbolic to the extent that it symbolizes institutional decay. You know, the governor has adequate powers.
And what happens if the governor and his two deputies, what happens if they do not resign?
Well, we will not relent. We will not relent in making that demand until he goes. So a real showdown is about to take place.
A real showdown?
Absolutely.
So you had Maxwell engaging the former Deputy Communications Minister, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye. He's also been speaking to Ningo Pram MP Sam George, who says the BOG governor is a coward.
The governor is a coward. Dr. Edison is a coward. I mean, and this is not going to be the first time. I've served on the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament for 7 years, and at least every year we invite him twice to appear because of the Auditor General's report. And I can say on authority that Dr. Edison himself has appeared before the Public Accounts Committee maybe 2 or 3 times in 7 years. He's a coward. He runs away from his own work, from his own failings. Most times he sends his deputy, Maxwell. And I won't be surprised that today it will be Maxwell who would have the balls to come out. Edison himself won't come out. Edison is a coward, and I'm putting it to him. You are a coward, and you have failed. You are a colossal failure. Because look, where we sit as a country, let's call a spade a spade. We have 196 central banks for 196 countries across the world. In 2022, the Central Bank of Ghana, the Bank of Ghana, came last.
While some ordinary Ghanaians who've showed up include members of the clergy, and they have been putting a biblical twist to all of this.
Everything is corruption. Why? Our president promised us that the corruption, he will protect the public purse. And look at what is happening now. She said $1 million. Do you know? Can you imagine how many buildings are the school buildings or the bridges or the electricity or how do you call it? Are the traffic lights? That $1 million can do. Everything is corrupt. I am disappointed in my president. I am disappointed. When they want the power, they come to we the pastors to pray for them. When they finish getting the votes, they said we shouldn't interfere in the politics. It is a lie. The Bible is about politics. So we from henceforth, every demonstration about Ghana, I will come. Do you think you go to heaven? If the people are not happy, God is not happy.
Well, so you heard some pastors there who've joined the protest by the minority in parliament to demand the resignation of the BOG governor and his deputies. Meanwhile, in Ashaman, scores of residents defied early morning showers to register their displeasure about the deplorable nature of roads in their municipality. They say they are fed up with the empty promises of fixing their roads. They were, however, denied access to parts of Ashaman which have bad roads. In response to this, they blocked the Ashaman traffic intersection, which connects Ashaman to parts of Tema, Ajekojo, Oyibi Somenya, and Ashaman Runabout. Listen to some of them.
We know the MP doesn't fix roads, right? So he being our mouthpiece, he could go to the assembly and make that thing happen. But we always hear, oh, my government is not power, I can't do nothing. But see, that's not it. We are here, like, left me alone, me and my brother, you see this place? We'll sleep here till tomorrow. Because see, we are suffering. When you buy a car, you know they tell your shop to stop. See, I said we don't get one good road. See, the sad part is right. If you are going to the municipal assembly, right? Yes. There's a big hole there, and it's still there.
On the fact that during the 2020 election, MPP had 36,000 votes in Ashaman here.
Exactly.
So how can you tell us that yes, the stronghold of the NDC, so you can't fix our roads? Ashaman deserves better. We pay taxes.
Well, you heard some of the protesters there. Let me take you live to Ashama now, where correspondent Kwame Yanka is standing by for us. So first, Kwame, just describe the state of these roads and why the protesters were not allowed to access them.
Okay, so Bernice, if you are new to the municipality, well, you'll be able to see parts of the municipality which is somehow tarred. I'm referring to the main Ashama to Ajekojo Road, and then to Tema. However, if you use the inner roads, I'm referring to the Ashama to Newtown Road, Newtown to Afarawa Road, and then Lebanon stretch all the way to Katamanso, which is somehow beyond Ashaman. But then these residents say over the years, government being represented here by the respective MCs will come promising that, well, government of the day is committed to more or less solving this problem. However, that administration's tenure may end and nothing will be done about it. So they believe this time around, they have to more or less vent for government of the day to know that they mean every bit of it. And after this very demonstration, if they do not solve any issues there is, then a month or two after, they'll be hitting the streets again.
But why were they denied access to these bad roads?
Well, some reports I'm getting indicate that, well, this area they had agreed to use later had to change, which wasn't communicated to all the members. So when they got to the Ashaman traffic light intersection, the police blocked that stretch and that connects Ashaman to OED, because that area is literally covered. That area takes care of the market and other shops. And the police, with the intelligence here that these protesters mixed up with some miscreants may cause mayhem, may loot and all that. But what the protesters say that whatever the fear may be is somehow unfounded, because they would want a specific problem solved and not to worsen the situation by maybe stealing or looting.
That's Kwame Yanka, our man in the Tema region, giving us an update on that Ashaman protest. This is the Midday News. Let's do some politics now. And presidential aspiration of former member of the NPP, Alan Tremantin, could be in danger. Following a revelation, the NPP can pursue legal action to refrain him from contesting the 2024 general elections. Mr. Tremantin last month resigned from the party and signaled his intention to contest as an independent candidate, but he's facing danger because he signed an undertaking against going as an independent candidate as part of conditions set by the party. Minister of State at the Local Government Ministry, Osei Bunsu Amor, tells my colleague Elton Broby that the NPP will be within its right to challenge Mr. Tremantin's decision.
If we interpret the rules and regulations, it will be up to the party to take a decision, because the undertaking says the party reserves the right. In the event of breach of this undertaking by me, the New Patriotic Party reserves the right to restrain me from contesting as an independent candidate or as a candidate on the ticket of any other political party. That is part of the undertaking. So if the party wants to pursue this, it's for the party to be well advised legally and to decide what action to take.
Now, in view of what is happening now, and as a lawyer, if you are asked to advise on the way forward, would you advise the party to explore this action?
It depends. In the first place, if you look at decisions of the Supreme Court, a person becomes a candidate when he has filed. So until you file, you may decide to declare that you want to go independent. But it kicks in when, indeed, we have the document to show that you filed. That's number one. Number two, as I said, it depends on the situation in the party. Does the party want to pursue legal action? What are the implications? What are the consequences? But as I said, the party says it reserves the right. And then the applicant also signed, got it witnessed that he also agrees with the position of the party.
So Alan stand the risks of being disqualified. That is, if the party decide that they want to take him on based on his own undertaking.
I noticed that you still want to bring Alan so that you can quote me.
Because he's the one that we know as of now. He is withdrawn from the party. He's resigned, and he says.
Indeed, don't forget that for the even parliamentary candidate.
Yes.
The clause will bind them. The party has taken a decision that people should not just use the party and then decide that I'm going my way because it didn't favor me.
So what exactly did Mr. Trematin and the other presidential aspirants sign on to? Elton Brobe is here to walk us through what is contained in that undertaking, Elton.
So this is what they signed. An aspiring presidential candidate shall sign an undertaking with the party, committing himself to supporting whoever is eventually elected as the party's presidential candidate after the selection process. In the event that he is not elected or selected to lead the party, shall also undertake not to contest as an independent presidential candidate or as a candidate on the ticket of any other political party, and that the MPP reserve the right to refrain him should that person decide otherwise.
Well, meanwhile, Mr. Trematin has been reacting to this issue.
Was it my sign, baby? My sign.
This is not a subject matter we should waste time to discuss. How can a lawyer put up such argument on national television? I signed a document when I was in the party. If I leave the party, how do you chase me to live by that document? It is hard to comprehend.
And no kahunti and say nipa bebre disappointed. Oh, a lawyer, me so be a lawyer. You share court. Okay. Once I mean wasting my time and discussing with crowd.
Many are disappointed in the party because of such mischief. He is a lawyer, and I am also one. He should let us meet in court. The reason for this argument now is to discourage people from joining the movement.
And no mischief a woman. They can was me wasting my time to discuss this matter.
So you had Mr. Alan Trematin. Let's stay a little longer with the NPP because flag bearer hopeful Dr. Owusu Akoto-Efiye says the party is in danger of losing the 2024 elections due to low morale among supporters over unfulfilled promises. He spoke to the media in Kumasi where he's touring ahead of the November 4 delegates conference.
It is clear to me that morale is very, very low. The expectation of our activists around the country for a better life has not been realized. So the MPP is not in a good place to contest to retain power next year. And we have to address this issue very seriously. Anybody who aspires to bear the flag of the MPP, that should be their priority. I have a very clear understanding of the problems on the ground because I've been a member of parliament.
However, NPP flag bearer hopeful Dr. Owusu Akoto-Efiye, you're listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Just gone by showdown as the NDC and its minority in parliament defy police warning not to protest at the BOG headquarters. They insist they will march there, setting the stage for confrontation. And still to come, some young Ghanaians with kidney failure cry for help as they join others to demand affordable dialysis treatment.
We are pleading with government to help us with the dialysis. We cannot pay because of that. We are not able to go for dialysis.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a petrol source station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
Thanks for staying on the Midday News. It's now time for sports with Mubarak Haruna. Hello.
Yep, Bernice. Now is the Botiman Sports Complex, and the facility which will host over 20 sporting disciplines during the Africa Games is close to completion. The facility is 87% completed and the possibility of work finishing on time is high. Here is Deshios Chipande, coordinator for the African Union Sports Council, who was involved in an extensive tour of the facility yesterday.
I think we are very happy with the progress that has been made so far, and the African Union is very, very grateful with the great investment that the government of the Republic of Ghana has put into the construction of the facilities. Last time when we were here, we were assured by the LOC that by December, all the facilities will be completed and ready for for the games. And for sure, this time we just visited Legon. It's nearly complete, and here we are now. When I see the overall percentage there, I think it is about 87%. So this is very impressive.
Yeah, that's your sports, Bernice.
Thank you, Mubarak. Now, some young Ghanaians with kidney failure are crying for help as they demand access to affordable treatment. All of them under 25 say the cost of dialysis has taken a toll on the finances of their families and they are compelled to beg. The youngest among them, 16-year-old Rosemary Abu-Baidoo, says this has also affected her academics. Their stories mirror that of thousands of persons with kidney conditions, emphasizing the urgent need for better healthcare support and accessible treatment options. Maxwell Agbagba has the second in our series, Dialysis Crisis.
A 1 minute silence for some kidney patients who have died between May and September is briefly disrupted by a woman in her 50s. She has kidney failure too and requires dialysis sessions 3 times a week. Very close to the crying woman are scores of renal patients who have gathered here to mourn and raise awareness about 14 of their members, they say, died after the Kolebu Teaching Hospital restricted dialysis services to only emergency cases after the health facility ran out of supplies. They say through the benevolence of some persons and organizations, their members were getting free dialysis treatment and are now unable to afford the cost in other facilities.
I'm 16 years old.
Here, I've met the youngest of them all, 16-year-old Rosemary Abu-Baidoo. She has a kidney failure and requires dialysis treatment 3 times every week. She says with some health facilities charging as much as 500 Ghana cedis, she's unable to afford it.
Sometimes, because of the dialysis, I don't go to school on Mondays and Thursdays. I'll come for dialysis. Whenever I go to school, sometimes I'll be confused, especially when they treat mass. I don't understand where they are fruit. But sometimes if we get the money, we will come for the dialysis. If we do not get, then we will not go.
That's Maxwell Agbagba with the second in our series, Dialysis Crisis. Stay with us on all our programs and news bulletins for more on this. Now, a serial pedophile in the Upper West region has been jailed by the Wa Circuit Court on 10 counts of defilement. Our man in Wa, Rafiq Salam, has been following the story of Rashid Anata, the once famous wedding MC, and joins us on the line with details. Rafiq, run us through the story of Rashid.
The story is that the court charged him on 10 counts of defilement. And so the first docket contained actual 6 counts, and he was sentenced to 43 years imprisonment. The first count had to deal with 8 years, 777. When you multiply, when you add all, you get for 3 years. But the judge says that based on his age and also being first-time offender, they will give him a total of 8 years. And then the second count, another 7 years, and then the third count, another 7 years. So that makes it 22. But when you add the combined prison sentence, it will give you 69. But the judge says that they want to be lenient on him because for him being a first-time offender, and if that's even the view of the prosecution, and they gave him 22 years to serve at the prison.
And that's Rafiq Salam reporting from Wa. And you know what time it is when you hear that sick tune. Will Presec Legon make it their 8th trophy? Another school will clinch the bragging rights as the journey to find this year's champion of the NSMQ begins today with the arrival of participating schools. 117 of them are expected at the KNU University campus within the next 2 days ahead of the preliminary stage of the national tournament. 3-time champions St. Peter's, Achimota School and Wesley Girls will begin their campaign this year from the preliminary stage after losing their seeded spots last year. Some schools are already threatening to unseat the undisputed champions, Presec Legon.
No, Presec Legon is not always that is Friday. Some days are there, you need to also calm down.
Well, it's a lot of excitement as we look forward to that and expect the best of coverage right here on Joy 99.7 FM and on the Joy News channel. We'll definitely keep you posted as you also look forward to rooting for your schools. And some of the schools have already started arriving on campus. So, like I said, we'll keep you updated. But that's how we end this edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. And Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDPE pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. Our top story showdown as the NDC and its minority in parliament defy police warning not to protest to the BOG headquarters, insisting they will march there, setting the stage for confrontation. You can stay updated when you get onto myjoyonline.com or follow us on social media. We are Joy 99.7 FM. I'm Bernice Abu-Baidoo Lansah. Thanks for your company. Up next is Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otable.